Hey everyone, it's Rod with Pow Group. Today is Monday, September 14th. Thanks for joining us for another midday market update. So in today's video, I want to discuss a few things. So if you go to powgroup.ca or pursuitofwealthgroup.com, you can check out the schedule for today for this midday update and the daily market recap this afternoon. So before we jump into the content, be sure to like the video if you enjoy this market perspective, subscribe to the channel, tick the little bell, and you'll be notified on my next update. The next update this afternoon is going to be an important one. And we're also doing a $100 cash giveaway. So this is just a reminder that on our last video, you may have already noticed that we talked about it on our last video from Friday. So all you have to do is go click on this SPY and QQQ daily downtrend video. You just have to comment on the video. You can comment anything, and I'll be doing a random number generator, and I'll be picking the lucky winner of $100 Canadian. I'll e-transfer that over to you. And if you'd also like if you could also like the video, that would be greatly appreciated. But again, just a quick reminder to go over and like that video and comment on that video, and you'll be entered for a chance to win that $100. So I want to go over a few news articles here this morning that came up from the weekend. So the first article that I wanted to highlight was the TikTok deal. So it looks like TikTok has signed a deal this week with Oracle. They outbid Microsoft on that US operations. So Trump administration to review the deal this week, Mnuchin says. So we'll have to see what comes from that. But Oracle stock was up big to begin the day, which I'll bring up the stock chart there in just a moment. AstraZeneca actually released some information last week, so we saw some negative headlines about the adverse effects and some nasty effects that they were experiencing in a UK patient. Apparently, they had some serious neurological problems, but as you can see, they resumed their clinical phase 3 trials in the UK. So we got some. We saw a gap up in SPY and some resumed optimism in the vaccine race discussion. And if you take a look at my video from Friday as well, I did predict that we would likely see a bounce to begin the week. I was hoping my ideal scenario was for a gap down and then buy that aggressively. But because we held the 50-day moving average on SPY, I expected a bounce to begin the week, especially after I saw the TikTok deal and the phase 3 clinical trials with AstraZeneca resuming. I knew that we were likely going to see a decent bounce, and that's exactly what we saw. So I'll go over some SPY and indices analysis in just a moment. So going back to the news article, so we did see some news about Ontario case spiking. We saw a bunch of the United States as well. So you can see here that 307,000 cases counted worldwide on Sunday. We also saw that India was hitting smashing records on the daily coronavirus increase. And I believe they hit in 2 days in a row, they smashed that record. So certainly some growing uncertainty here regarding the pandemic. And we'll have to see the rhetoric over the next couple of days. I saw that Alberta is sending people home due to outbreaks in schools just after getting started. So with the fall season rolling around, I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot more narrative around this and the flu season. So taking a look at NKLA, so they fired back saying in a rebuttal that the Hindenburg short seller report was false and misleading. And it's not their first time this isn't the first time that Hindenburg has released a short report that was false and misleading. The same thing happened with Afria, if you remember back in the day when pot stocks were at all-time highs. I think it went from about $15 to $4. So just remind yourself that these short sellers, they're obviously taking a short position and they want the share price to fall. So because GM took a partnership as well and a stake in the company of 11%, I believe, I mean, it's probably false allegations and we haven't really seen any concrete. If it would have been a few other sources as well covering the topic, I would have been a little bit more convinced. But honestly, anything that I see from Hindenburg now, I just take with a grain of salt because they're profiting off of those short reports. So taking a look at the schedule now, so we'll do an indices overview. So bringing up the SPY chart. So to start the day, I knew that we were likely going to see a gap up, and we are overextended on the shorter term timeframes, but we haven't yet hit overbought on the hourly. And you can see here, we haven't formed an hourly high or low. We did form a little one there in pre-market, but if you take a look with the extended hours off, we haven't formed a higher low yet with regular trading hours and regular volume. So if this does decide to top out here, which I called this morning as well on SPY, I said in the community that I expect SPY to, you see here, we in the Bollinger Bands on the 5-minute, we were getting tight. We had a little bit of a fake out. We broke the high at pre-market, but pulled back. Then we tested the low of the Bollinger Bands and had another fake out to the downside. We broke that support here at 337.08, and we bounced right back and set a new high of the day into a 5-minute uptrend. And I drew these lines here. So I expected EMA on the daily to act as resistance. So that's where those lines came from. I drew one line on EMA 12 exponential support and one line on EMA 26 support. And you can see here we touched 240, which was the EMA, and we rejected from that level. Now, we did form a 5-minute lower high and lower low. So we are in a 5-minute downtrend, but we are kind of just range bound here going flat, and we'll check back in later on today to see how that ends. So taking a look at QQQ as well, I did highlight this last week, but you can see that we did dip just below the 50-day moving average, but because SPY held it, I believe that's the reason why we saw QQQ hold it as well, given the amount of downward pressure that it was experiencing over the last week. And taking a look at QQQ on the daily, so we were forming a daily bear flag, and we did confirm a daily downtrend, but bulls saved the day with the lower wick, and we do have the daily bounce underway. So taking a look into some other indices, one thing I wanted to highlight was XLF. So we saw a strong move in XLF this morning, but again, we haven't really set any clear hourly trend changes. Like if we ignore pre-market because we didn't really see any meaningful volume, then again, we still haven't really established any support here on the hourly, which is a little concerning for me. And let's take a look at XLV. XLV had a strong start to the day as well, but same story here, hasn't yet formed an hourly uptrend, and we need that to be confident that the daily high or low is set. But bounce definitely underway here. You can see that we are in a 5-minute uptrend as well. Next on the list, we have individual stock analysis. So I want to go over Tesla. I also want to go over NKLA, so Nikola, Oracle, and NVDA. NVDA had some news out as well. You can check that out. But first on the list, we'll take a look at Tesla. I know a lot of people are curious on what's going to happen with Tesla. We just tested the $400 mark again for the first time in a couple of days. But you can see here we're over EMA 12, so looking good for the bulls. We're starting to push here. We had a high of 398.99, so we are over that resistance. And there's not really any meaningful resistance up here until the 502 all-time high. So Tesla, taking a look at Tesla on the hourly. So again, we haven't formed an hourly higher low and higher high, so we'll need to, we did form a lower high and a lower low. So we're basically just going flat. I'd like to see an hourly lower, higher low and higher high to be confident that this move is for real. But honestly, I'm still leaning bearish. I think that SPY might top out here at the 340 area, and we could potentially start to test the 321, which I'll go over in just a second. Taking a look at another member request, which was NKLA. So NKLA got pretty extreme there in terms of oversold conditions last week. So taking a look at the daily, so you can see here that we ramped up on that GM news about 60%. And then we had the short report and we fell another 46 and change roughly percent. We did have increasing bear volume. So we did get the oversold bounce here on the, I believe we were fairly oversold on the hourly. So yeah, you can see here that the RSI touched down to the teens, the high teens, and then we expected a bounce. And we also had support at 29 on the daily chart, and we tested that level and confirmed support, and now we're bouncing, and we're up really quite a bit significantly from that low. So we're up about 20% from that low. So if you would have entered off 29 support, you'd be sitting pretty today, especially with the market bounce. Taking a look at the 5-minute chart, you can see here we're grinding EMA 12 as support, and clearly in a 5-minute uptrend. Looks like the bulls have full control at the moment, although we are starting to form a lower high here. If we break the low of 33.86, that will confirm a 5-minute downtrend. So keeping an eye on NKLA for the rest of the day, and I'll do an update on that as well to end the daily market recap if you tune into that video this afternoon. Oracle. So Oracle was up big today on the news on the TikTok deal, but we have been slow fading this since the pre-market, and you can see that we are in a 5-minute downtrend. So definitely some profit taking on Oracle. But other than that, nothing, just looking to form a, we want to see a 5-minute trend change as well. So if you're looking for an entry on this name, it looks like it's probably going to fill the gap, especially if SPY is starting to top out here. So we'll check back on that one later on today as well. Taking a look at NVDA. So NVDA jumped on news that they were on some M&A news, and SoftBank, I think they invested $30 billion. Can't really remember off the top of my head, but you can Google that if you want to know more. Personally, I don't really track NVDA that much. Personally, I think it's overvalued at the moment, and I'm trying to avoid any long-term investments at this point. But if you're into this for a quick, day trade or a swing trade, then you're happy that you held that over the weekend, but wouldn't be surprised if we fill the gap on NVDA as well. And we are currently in a 5-minute downtrend. So we'll check back in on that later on this afternoon. So just a quick summary on where I think we're heading for the rest of the day and week. SPY, like I said, we topped out around the 340, which was the EMA resistance, and we're back above that here now. So we could potentially be setting a inverse head and shoulders on the 5-minute. Bulls looking to regain some momentum to push past that resistance and over the EMAs. So we will have to see. I personally think that SPY is still bearish. We could be setting a daily lower high here, and that could very well be topping out at the EMA 12 resistance, which I highlighted earlier. And if we do see this bear flag play out, that would bring us down to the last daily higher low support, which is around the 320, 319 area. Personally, I think 321 would be a target for SPY in the short term. And we also have the Fed meeting on Wednesday, and on Thursday we have some economic data for the job numbers and that type of thing. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And we also have quad witching to end the week. So it's going to be an interesting week. Be sure to comment on the video from Friday if you want to enter for a chance to win a $100 cash giveaway. And I'll be announcing the winner on that on my daily market recap video here this afternoon. So consider liking the video. I'd appreciate that very much. And subscribe to the channel, tick the little bell. You'll be notified on that update this afternoon for the $100 cash giveaway. I hope everyone has a great rest of the trading day. And make sure that you are using stops. We are still not out of the woods yet. And we have been, we tend to grind slowly to the upside. And again, I'm expecting a flush at some point because that that pattern has consistently proven true. And until it doesn't, I'm going to continue to act on it. So again, best of luck going into the end of the day, and we'll see you this afternoon for the daily market recap. Have a great day, everyone.